Hello everybody, this is Dusty here, back with another, the next episode of what's going to be my tour of my base and my other builds on Midgard. It's a series of videos. And last time we just covered the lobby and the lobby of my base, the portal room, this aquarium, and also my beacon, my fancy beacon color selector, and also the cave that I am making under my base. But today we will talk about the, well, firstly, it depends on how long the video will take, but firstly, the Guardian Farm. But though those of you wonder about, wondering about my tunnels, underneath here, I have soul soil, which basically, so it's like if I am going through these tunnels, I have actually two different transportation options. Well, I asked actually three if you count using elytra. So it's like I can either do this. I can just run through like this. Or I can take or I can take the ice boats, which are actually the fastest way to travel. And if you're wondering about these rails, they're basically just here to prevent mob spawning, as the majority of my base is at slime spawning level. I actually have to resort to using non-spawnable blocks to make most of the floors in my base. Just kind of annoying, but I've largely learned to design around this, like design my builds around this. So to just kind of like mostly use mostly use transparent blocks, which I have done for basically this whole area and also my lobby, but as you can see, I haven't done that here. And actually, when I was shooting, I didn't end up putting this in the video, but some of my footage I was shooting for my previous video, I actually saw a giant slime in this inside here. Like I'm not even joking. So I guess I'm gonna have to spawn proof this room, but for the most part I don't really have issues with slime spawning in my base. Though, anyways, as for this Guardian Farm, it is actually, it's not my lobby that was the first. Interesting fact, it is not actually my lobby, or that was the first part of the base I completed. It was actually the Guardian Farm that was the first part of the base that I built. So it's basically the like this slime farm. Wow. This guardian farm. Excuse me. Actually came before the lobby of my base. And the story behind that was I decided to. So that this was when I was still in living in Atlantis on the previous server, and I decided to go out exploring the area around Atlantis, and I found this fairly large swath of deep ocean that I decided to build my base in. And it happened to be, I believe, about, I could be wrong, but I'm guessing kind of around, like, somewhere around, like, 1,000 to 2,000 blocks, north of Atlantis. And, interestingly enough, when, Taliesin actually made their map of what they called the Tubby Empire, which actually encompassed Atlantis and that ocean biome. Well, I guess that wasn't technically part of the Tubby Empire, but they did map it. Like they did map Atlantis and that ocean biome, and my base was just at the top edge of their map. I guess it was technically on the map, but it was just right at the edge. Right, just right at the top edge. But anyway, back to my base. So so the reason I chose to build my base where I built it was that I discovered two ocean monuments fairly close to each other, but unfortunately not close enough to each other for me to build a dual guardian farm. Though that would have been sick. That would have been an amazing farm. It would have been OP, sure, but it would have been a really cool farm to have. But alas, those two ocean monuments were not close enough to. I believe they weren't close enough to be loaded at once. Because the server's view distance was 10 chunks. It just wasn't possible. I think they were farther apart than that, so it just wasn't possible to, like, they were just too. I think they were just. I think they would have been maybe 11 or 12 chunks apart, or they might have been 10 chunks apart, but they were just too far apart to for you to be able to stand in between them and load both of them at once. So unfortunately, a dual guardian farm, a dual ocean monument guardian farm wasn't possible. So I just picked one of them and built a single a single monument guardian farm. And when that farm was finished, I decided to build my base. I decided to build my base just south of the Guardian farm. Though I did choose to put about, I believe it was 100 to 200 blocks worth of distance in between the Guardian farm and my lobby in order to make sure that I wouldn't have I would not have any issues with server lag by having the Guardian farm loaded whenever I just simply enter my base. So it's like I would have to go within range of the Guardian farm for the Guardian farm to start spawning Guardians and doing its thing. But as for the Guardian farm itself, like at least as it stands today, this would have gone through several changes between several design changes in its design since when I first built it on that old server, like in between then and today. And I believe most recently I would have actually borrowed, I would have, I think, copied some feature, at least I would have, I think, copied the community Guardian farm a little bit. Like, well, in order to make this killing chamber that you see here what it is right now. Though I have included a food dispenser to allow for long AFK sessions. So basically, I could just stay. Like, what I do is I fill my inventory with items so that my inventory doesn't get flooded with golden carrots, or really really it could be any food item I choose to put in here. And so basically, I could just stand in place. And basically, really what I would do is I actually have an auto clicker mod that actually basically like that basically allows me to just stand in place and whenever a mob is in front of my sword, it just automatically clicks my sword. And it also keeps the attack cooldown into account as well. So basically, if I want to, well, mostly what I use this farm for these days is for getting prismarine shards and crystals. But when I first built this farm, it was my primary source of XP and food as well. So these days, I have access to faster XP farms. So these days, I don't really use it for XP anymore, though. It is one of a few XP farms that I have that I can use. So over here is just an enchanting setup that I have for, say, if I lost all my armor and I want to re-enchant a new armor, I have a convenient spot to do that. And I've included some kind of some extra features, like this is a this is an anvil dispenser that I have to manually refill, but still is kind of a novel thing to have. And this is I had to kind of reposition this button because just the redstone just wasn't like reaching where I had the button, but it's supposed to just be in the wall here, but I've had to break some of the wall to allow the redstone to work. But when you press this button, you get 3 lapis dispensed to you. Just to allow for I mean it's not like I have to have it, but it's just it kind of makes life a little easier. Like if I'm having to do a lot of enchanting, I could just hit that button and then just get my lapis dispensed, and then I can just get just enough lapis to do a full enchantment for each time. And I've already shown the outside of this area in my previous video, so I don't think I have to do it for this time. But this room here just really just serves the purpose of being a place for me to put the storage system or for the guardian farm, which per my builds is or per my farms is auto sorting and shulker box loading, or at least part of it is. Because I am largely as per the farm team's guidelines, well, I'm allowed to go over those guidelines to an extent, but really as per the farm team, I am largely limited in how much redstone and especially how many hoppers I can have in one specific area. And when I build my farms, so many times I just have to take my pick. Like, well, do I like I might have to make a compromise. Like, do I want really fast item rates, or do I want to have auto sorting, or do I want to have shulker box loading, or do I want to have all those things? And sometimes, like, not every single time I submit a farm, but in some cases I have to. I am forced to make that compromise. But sometimes I just make compromises anyways, because just from experience, it's just kind of taught me that generally less is more when it comes to redstone, and just the more redstone, the more generally the more complexity, and thus the more also more points of failure, and also and also the more complex, generally the more complex a build is that I submit to farm team, the harder it is for it to be approved. And I mean, and it's like I submit like even my large, like even my beacon color selector, I submitted that knowing this full well, but a lot of times I tend to kind of I do have the tendency to push the boundaries as for what farm team will pass for me to build. And in some cases things are left to be desired, but in other cases I am surprised by what is allowed, by what the farm team can pass. And I've had more than a few builds that I've submitted that have surprised me in that regard. But this storage system actually has gone through at least 2 or possibly 3 major changes. As when I first built this system that you see here was not even what I went with the first time. It was just the original system would have been just like basically like picture a giant like these chest silos here. Picture basically basically picture taller, basically more chests, more redstone lamps, and at the top there was auto sorters. I'll put in a picture that I still have of what that older system looked like, but the reason I went to this system was really just to cut down on hopper usage. But though, due to, I think at one point the rates of this farm actually, I think, increased. So in order to deal with increased item throughput, I had to, or increase the increased amount of items from the farm, I would have had to increase the throughput of the sorters, which, as you can see, these sorters, well, the reason there's two of them, two sorters next to each other, is both of them do the same item, but I just have two of them next to each other to increase throughput. And that's also the case over here. And those chests on the top are for storing the empty shulkers. And as a thing, like if you're building shulker box storage silos, you basically have to have two different chest silos. Actually, one for the filled shulker boxes, and then and another separate silo for your empty shulker boxes. So it's like basically I have to have the same number of chests I have down here up at the top there to hold the empty shulkers. And down here is really just, these are just shulker box display units that basically allow you, that basically place a shulker box just, so that you're allowed to take a few items out of that shulker. Like, so say if you just want to take a few stacks out, you can just take a few stacks out of that shulker box. And then down here is the kind of the sorter that's just for the other just kind of miscellaneous items that drop from the Guardians. And it's just, I just have raw and cooked salmon and tropical fish, guardian heads, and puffer fish. And these are actually the April Fool's heads. I just like went, so when that's, so like on, also like on like the, so basically on April Fool's Day, Skade like had this whole event for it. So, like we were doing the whole like April Fool's snapshots, and even as part of that we even had those mob heads. So it's like if you kill any mob, there's a chance it could drop those heads. And it was like a fairly high chance of those heads dropping as well. And I decided, well, what better thing than to like use this farm to acquire a few of those heads. Though, although kind of to the chagrin of some players, but that's just my play style. Oh, there's one more area in I guess the eastern side of my base that I haven't covered in the previous video, and that's down here. Well, if you're curious about this tunnel, well, at one point I've had the idea that these three remaining ocean monuments in my base, I wanted to basically turn into this, where like I've entirely drained all the water. And well, my plan is to kind of terraform these into kind of like different biomes, and also to kind of look like the screenshots that I will be posting about now. Though, well, I kind of want to get this, at least this one, done soon, because it kind of looks a bit ugly. But the thing is, I'm kind of, like, at all times, I tend to have like at least 5 different projects going on at once on Midgard. And I'm actually not alone in this. MC Rocks is much the same way. But anyway, down here, it's really just this room that I chose to make more or less just for the heck of it. Like, it doesn't really serve much of a functional purpose, though. So, like, well, I guess if any of you who have been who know like who knew the old server, or just or who have just been on Midgard, you probably know what you probably know what a calm room is. And or if you're familiar with the autism acceptance event area, and with kind of its sensory / stimming kind of area, well, this was sort of my kind of idea for something like that in my base, or at least this floor here. Well, that's actually like a collection of different redstone circuits that's similar, actually similar to what I built in my portal room. Though this one actually I actually included a bit of a note block randomizer into it. And I don't know, I guess I intended this room to be sort of, I guess, a man cave of sorts. I guess just to have like these different so it's like there's this ceiling here. Basically I can turn this on and I get some nice disco lighting, I guess. And this switch is for the redstone floor. I very rarely spend time in here, but I guess my idea for this was I guess I just kind of vibe out in here, but the reality is I'm spending so much time either playing other games, or just like or like working on projects that this room actually almost doesn't get much use. And if you're wondering what these numbers on the wall are about, well, these are counters. So and what's cool about these is they can not only count up, but also down, and they can be reset to 0. So my intentions for these is yeah server. But anyway, my intentions for these is basically so my intentions for these is basically this display, this counter would show my death count, and this one would show the number of days since my last death. Though unfortunately I just haven't really taken much of the opportunity to update these. Because again, I'm just kind of so busy with other projects that it's just, I guess I just never really go to this part of my base much. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking I might want to give this part of my base a bit of a revamp. More or less just to refresh it, because it's like, so because I find whenever I don't really, it's like I find with builds in Minecraft, if I never make any changes to them, they kind of tend to get stale after a while. And I guess this particular area, I guess just because it doesn't serve much of a functional purpose, I never really go to it. But I haven't really, now that I think about it, I don't really know what I want to do with this area. Though the one idea that's come to my mind is maybe another aquarium. Like, I know I have an aquarium in my lobby, but part of me really wants to make one of those like tube aquariums where it's like you're walking through this glass tunnel where you're like surrounded by just like fish and coral like on all sides. Like, that's kind of one idea that's come to mind. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I might do some more kind of see, my thing is with using the redstone as a sensory toy is just largely the farm team. I'm limited by, I'm kind of limited as far as what I can do with it. And because like even the floor of my portal room alone, like, I was told the farm team almost didn't pass it. Though my understanding with that is it's just because my portal room is next to a bunch of other portals. I I guess it's just so I guess the farm team just had to be more stringent on that. But I guess this area just being in the overworld and far away from other players' builds, I'm guessing hopefully shouldn't be affected by the same rules. Though I guess I'll just have to see. Maybe and another, I guess one other idea that's come to mind for this area is to make a noteblock song here, maybe, but it'd be hard to pick a song. Like if I could only build one or maybe a few full-length noteblock songs, or what would those songs be? Is it just wouldn't be realistic to build like 20 like 5-minute noteblock songs. So anyway, these counters, if I can get inside there. So these counters are actually a pretty ingenious design. I didn't design them, of course, but these basically these counters are using comparator logic, or at least to do both the counting and also part of the decoding to the 7-segment displays. And for those who don't know, basically comparator logic uses where most redstone is mostly digital in nature, like it only is like as far as most redstone circuits are concerned, you can only have 2 states, on or off. Where comparator logic actually allows you to have at least a form of analog logic, which basically means you can have one redstone wire represent up to 16 different states, as opposed to just 2. And what's really cool about this is it allows you to do a lot more with a lot less redstone. As basically thanks to that, this this counter, which would otherwise be probably double the size, is able to be as small as it is thanks to comparator logic. Though my beacon color selector also uses comparator logic, and that is actually at least mostly my own design, which I am quite proud of. Though I'm saving that for its own video, because it's such a complex beast in of itself. The video is running on long, but I guess I'll cover one more thing. So here is actually, this is, this is the combination lock, which, is for, which is for my vaults. And yes, I do have a small, vault in my base, which I am storing, mostly like event items and, mob heads. Not that I need to, but just because it's, just because it's kind of satisfying to me to have, to use redstone to, secure my items even though I don't have to. And originally, this is not this is not the original design that I had here. I originally had the it's basically probably one of the most classic designs for redstone combination locks built here, and kind of for the longest time, I just kind of left it the way it is and was happy with it, but the reason I changed it out for this design that you see here is because, well, for one, I wanted it to be easier to change the combination, and also I wanted it to be able to respond faster, though that turned out to that turned out to not necessarily be true, but I at least like that this new lock is at least easier to change the combination. And if you're wondering whose design this is actually from, I'm blanking on the name, but I guess I can edit in, I can add it in post. But, this YouTuber is actually makes quite a few, different, different redstone, contraptions, and actually what sets this person apart from most other YouTubers is they emphasize simplicity, and I like they tried they try to make things functional, as functional as possible while being as simple as possible as well. Oh, and here I actually have a hidden, and basically how you enter the vault is through this hidden staircase. Is usually this is just like covered up, but when I enter the right combination, this opens up, and then so now I can access my vault. And I'm actually, slowly but surely starting to fill this up. I mean, there's still quite a few empty barrels, but, as the years go by and I collect more items from events, this is slowly starting to fill up. Oh, and also as I get more mob heads. But my plans are eventually to make a bigger vault, and possibly also relocate it to somewhere else in my base, because I I have some ambitious plans for it, though hopefully not too ambitious in the farm team's eyes, but I guess we'll have to see. And inside the vault, I just put a easy, like, access area to the redstone. Though this is more of a kind of, I guess, a viewing area for the redstone. And then this part of the redstone here is really the same as the original designer of this originally built it, but I just made the change that I wanted half of this to be side by side, and so I had to I had to get a little bit creative with with the redstone. So I would basically, like, I had to connect this to here, and also figure out how to keep the delays the same. But at least I was able to make it work, which is good. And this is largely just because I didn't want to change the button panel too much, so I just came up with just a way to convert all those signals into an analog redstone signal, or at least using comparator logic. As also this combination lock also uses comparator logic, or at least to some extent. And these note blocks are really just for the chime that sounds when you've got when the door opens, or when you've entered the right combination. And because we're here, I guess I'll cover this this area, though I am stretching my video. But anyway, this room used to serve the purpose of being both my auto smelter and my auto sorter. And the reason why this room is built the way it is that originally I planned, like, my original plan for this room was to have a pretty large auto sorter. Like, I think it would have been, like, if it was completed, it would have been, I think, the size of the sorter in Atlantis. But unfortunately for me, by the time that I've gotten only half of the sorter up and running, that was already causing lag on the server. And I basically had to take that sorter out of service and tear it down and replace it with originally, I would have just replaced it with a version of the multi-item sorter. But I think I only was able to have, I think, up to 8 modules here. But it's also due to also having an auto smelter in this room here, which is no longer here. And I think also, if we go all the way back in here, I also had a kelp farm in this area. I'm not joking. Like, all this glass area you see with the sea lanterns and also the soul sand at the bottom, that used to have a kelp farm. Actually very similar to the auto kelp farm that I built in Atlantis. And that was just to serve the purpose of providing fuel for my auto smelter. And there was never any problems on the server end, or at least that I knew about. But one day, just because one day out of curiosity, I chose to take a light-matic of this area just to see how many hoppers were here. Which was after building the auto smelter and in the kelp farm, and also the furnaces, the array of furnaces that handle smelting the kelp into dried kelp. And also that smaller auto sorter that I had built in this area, that, mind you, took up a fraction of the space the original auto sorter did. But even with all that in this area ended up having 1,000 hoppers in it. And at that point, I really mulled over, well, should I do something about this? And I ultimately decided, well, I probably should. And but also what led me to that decision was Atlantis, for whatever reason. I'm guessing maybe had to do with so much stuff being built in that area. And maybe also now that I think of it, it could have also been a byproduct of possibly that server being bad. Basically that area that Atlantis was once in, even after all the redstone was removed, that area still caused lag. And the only way to truly get rid of that lag was to regenerate that area, like basically revert the terrain, basically revert all the terrain back to the way it was when it was first generated, thus deleting all builds there. And I think even then, that didn't even get rid of all the lag, though I'm not entirely sure on that. So, needless to say, I also was afraid that this phantom lag, as Blue soon coined it, could affect my base as well. So I had decided that I should divorce my sorter and my auto smelter to separate areas of my base, and that is what I did. And basically, this building you see here houses my auto sorter, and this building down here is my auto smelter. And those I'm going to cover in the next video, because this video is really running on long. But unfortunately for me, also what happened around that time was the founding of the farm team. And so if I was to replace my auto sorter and my auto smelter, I had to submit them through farm team and run them, let the farm team mock them up, do tests, and and then the farm team has to decide unanimously if I should build if I should be allowed to build this and use this farm, and all that happy stuff. And let's just say this led to me getting impatient, especially because I was very new to the system. And let's just say in my impatience, I may have made a few mistakes. Let's just say a few of my, at least a couple farms I might have decided to, let's just say a couple farms I may have built behind their back because either I just facetiously just was like, oh, this is gonna be fine, or just like, or just largely just out of impatience. And I guess also just I think because there were some members on the farm team who are not redstone savvy at all. I guess this just led to me not fully trusting farm team. Though, from what I know about farm team today, this is no longer the case. But this was basically the farm team in its infancy. And I mean, in hindsight, I guess I should have given it more, I should have given them more leeway, but just at the time, I was just frustrated, and I was just dealing with a server, like we were all dealing with a server that was clearly understaffed and under maintained, and was really not doing too well TPS wise, and we were really just trying to do our best just to keep the darn thing running well. And unfortunately for me, this meant I was forced to cut back on a lot of my farms. And yeah. So eventually I was able to build, things improved, and I believe actually on that old server I was eventually able to get my sorter and my auto smelter built, but let's just say they took, I took a bit of patience from me, and at least my smelter took it took one mistake, one misstep, where I chose to build something the farm team didn't approve, and yeah. Well, what's a real story behind that, but I guess I won't be able to touch on in this video. But anyway, but all that matters is, at least in the end, I have that I do have those farms now. And at least I cannot thank farm team enough for not only dealing with me, but putting up with me, but also putting up with that server as well, and just kind of persevering through both all what impatient me and also what that server had to throw at them. But anyway, over here is just a little food farm. Basically, I can if I want to grow a bunch of carrots or potatoes or wheat, I just have to stand here, or it's on this pressure plate, and those dispensers fire off bone meal, and and I can just stand here AFK and then grow a bunch of carrots or really any crop I want. And I even was able to add a jungle log there so that I could even use this farm with oh, and also an extra dispenser down there, so I could also use this farm with cocoa beans if I so desire. And both this farm in conjunction with my gold farm, is how I'm able to get my golden carrots that I eat for food. And I guess this will be the last thing I will cover before I'll end off the video, but this down here is my concrete maker, though I guess it's a little more than a concrete maker. It's also a cobblestone and basalt generator. And so, much like a lot of my farms, this also went through several different changes. Because I think originally I would have had a different blast chamber design here. I would have originally had... I think I would have originally had El Mango's design. And I think I would have had my own design for the parts where you stand and place the concrete powder. And I would have designed my own shulker box loader. But I was just having all sorts of issues with that design, ranging from that blast chamber breaking itself to, well, it's because Omango's design is kind of not known for reliability, but also, among other issues, that shulker box loader sometimes would dispense the shulker boxes before they would be full. So it's like you'd get a ton of only partially filled shulker boxes. And you'd also, in some cases, when the shulker box gets broken, the shulker box would never get picked up by the hoppers, and instead would just be left sitting as an item entity until it despawns. And let's just say, not only me, but also MC Rocks had learned that the hard way. And, I mean, me and MC Rocks are good friends. And, they actually, and I guess in our friendship, I allow them to use my, I allow them to use my farms. And I mean, they never really had too many hard feelings about that, but let's just say it kind of made me a little embarrassed, because I'm like, go use my concrete maker. It works very well. It's reliable and blah blah blah. And then that happens to them, and they basically lose their concrete. It's probably one of the worst things any technical Minecraft player could experience. But anyway, it's just because I've been having all those issues with that design. I really just, I just ultimately chose to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I just replaced the whole thing with cubic meters. Actually, they're basically they made this this blast chamber. And what sets their blast chamber apart from El Mango's is it has fault detection, which basically means that so it's like when the items go in the blast chamber, they're split into 4 different block streams, and before they go into the base, where they're where the blocks are baled up into a cube. And so basically this blast chamber has a system in it that detects if like all 4 of the block streams are in sync, and if they fall out of sync, that triggers a fault condition in which the farm basically shuts itself down. Yeah, and because when Cubic Meter had tested this design, if it's allowed to if it's allowed to run out of sync while being out of sync for too long, the blast chamber eventually breaks itself. And basically, by implementing that fault detection, the blast chamber is basically able to protect itself in a way, which, and in order to repair it, you do have to break like a few of the blocks in the basically in the like in the bottom of the blast chamber that were so basically like you have to, so like if the fault detection is triggered, you have to, like, say if this section has more blocks in it than this section, you have to remove the blocks in this section to basically make them equal. And after you've done that, you can then press this button, which then resets the fault detection and allows the farm to continue running again. And there's also a note block chime that goes off like whenever the fault detection is active or triggered. And this basically I am using like for here I am using Cubic Meter's design mostly unchanged. Though the only thing I did have to change was the storage system, because when Cubic Meter designed this, they designed it with in mind the ability to have like stackable shulkers. I'm guessing maybe they used a mod to do that, or either maybe a mod or a data pack or something to do that, to enable that. And obviously that is not possible here on Midgard, so I had to kind of design my own storage silo for that reason. Though I was able to use their shulker box loader, which really what's special about it is its double speed, because this farm or at least when it's producing cobblestone and basalt, it produces I think 18,000 blocks per hour, which is I think twice what a hopper can which is I think twice the throughput of a hopper. So you have to have a double speed. You have to have double speed item sorting and double speed shulker box loading in order to keep up with that. And thus far, I have had almost 0 issues with this farm. Though the only reason I say almost 0 issues is I did have one issue where basically I came to this farm and it was basically broken. Or I think when I went to use the farm, like, I don't know if the fault detection was tripped when I came to the farm, or it tripped when I turned on the farm. I think it tripped when I turned on the farm. But, what I suspect might have happened is maybe MC Rocks or somebody might have come here and used the farm, and they might have left the farm while it was running. And I'm guessing if that was the case, that's probably what would have done it. Because the other thing about this farm is that you cannot unload the farm while it's running, or else it will break. So it's like if you're using this farm, like say if you're making concrete, and then you go over here and hit the blast chamber purge, you cannot leave the area until the farm is finished, or at least until the blast chamber is done running. If the shulker box loader, at least to my knowledge, isn't affected by unloading, but the blast chamber and its cobble and basalt gen is susceptible to unloading. And really the reason the cobble and basalt gen is here is so that I can, like, go say when I'm done farming concrete, I can purge the remaining 240 blocks of concrete out of the system. So when I'm done, so I can get that concrete back when I'm done using the concrete maker. And I figured why not also include the basalt gen as well, because you never know when I need that. And it also replaces a basalt gen and cobble gen that I had built as separate farms, which is also a nice bonus. Though it's getting late now, and also my throat is getting kind of sore from all my talking, so thank you all for watching. This is me, Dusty Circuit here, and if you liked what you saw, remember to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you want to see more of my videos, be sure to hit the bell for notifications, and also to stay tuned for more installments of this series. Yeah, or I guess more of a mini series than anything. But if you want to see more of my videos, be sure to hit the bell for notifications. And this is me, Dusty, signing off. And peace out.